Hello friends, this video we are going to talk about Python basics. So if you want to learn Python, you can continuously watch this tutorial. So then it would be helpful to write fun functions and Python coding. So initially we can see what is Python and wherever we can use Python and how it will be useful for artificial intelligence and machine learnings. So when we before start to deeper, I will go to very basic levels. So mainly Python can be used for machine learning and artificial intelligence. Now the time of the intelligent levels, which means artificial intelligence has been used for all levels, which has been army, police, and as well as militaries, and even basic supermarkets, malls. So everywhere we are seeing that AI basics or AI robots in banks. So everywhere we are using robots. So in basic we can use Python programmings or R languages. So 50% of the robots or else banking intelligence using based on the Python programming. So in this situation Python is very essential language and it can be useful for all levels. Okay, so what is Python? Python is a popular programming language as C sharp, VB script, JavaScript. But in Python we can use lakhs and lakhs of plugins because Python is a open source. Open source means you can take a function or you can take it and you can edit in your own and you can publish into the GitHub. Some others can see and they can change it their level. So it's a open source, anyone can change it. So it was created by Guido van Rossum and released in 1991. Python is the only program it started within a 30 years. It has been reached a milestone. So wherever we can use it for, it is used for web development, server side, and software development, mathematics, system scripting. So what can do Python? Python can be used on a server to create web application. If you want to create a web application, you can create on it using the server side script. Python can be used alongside software to create workflow. If you want to create workflows, which means where you want to start, where you want to stop, where you want to run, where you want to pass, the workflow kind of steps. For example, workflow will looks like program charts. So the chart kind of things I will do in later. First of all, theoretically I will complete on it. So Python can connect to database system. Suppose you want to connect the database system like Oracle, SQL, MS Access, whichever it may be. It can also read and modify files. If you want to read the file or modify the files, you can import, you can do import OS and you can modify and read the files. It is very simple plugins and plugins can be used wherever you can. And Python can be used to handle big data and perform complex mathematics. So suppose if you want to analyze some data, for for example, one of the real-time situation we heard about that we have for insurance department, they want to search a keyword. For example, um, gold. If they want to search a keyword within the 70,000 pages, so in that case, our Python and artificial intelligence and machine learning come into the picture because wherever this the keyword gold is available, they have to catch up on particular sentence because that insurance department has more than 1 lakh pages for the particular area. Because in when they preparing GST or other tax incomes, they had many things, or else once they started a company and they have submitted their tax, exceptions. So they have to search the particular keyword. So the Python is a script we had suggested for that area. So also Python can be used to analyze the data. For data analytics is a separate area. In data analytics as well, the Python can be used on it. And complex mathematics, if you want to use any of the complex mathematics, Python can be used on it. And also Python can be used for rapid prototyping or for production ready software development. Suppose if you want to create a production ready software development, Python can be used for very popularly. Also, why Python? Python works on different platforms: Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, whatever it may be. In any of the platforms, Python can be used for. This is the main purpose of the Python. Suppose if you use .NET, maximum 95% it will be used on Windows only, but it cannot be support many things in Linux or Mac. But only language in the world it supports all the OS without any issues. Python. The second language is R languages. These two languages are supporting entire platforms without any issues. The second one is Python has a simple syntax similar to English. In the other word, Python has a simple syntax like C language. Python has syntax that allows developers to write programs with fewer lines than some of the programming languages. You can easily write line by line, so without any issues like a C programming language. Python runs an interpreter system, meaning that code can be executed as it is written. This means that prototyping can be very quick. Also, the main thing is can be treated in a Python can be treated in a procedural way, an object oriented way, or a functional way. You can treat any ways. Mostly in object oriented, Microsoft .NET can be behaved previously oriented way, but Python can be treated in any way like a functional, object oriented, or else procedural. So other things what you need to know about Python. Here you can see the most recent major version of Python is Python 3.8. We shall be using for the thing is Python 3 also you can use, but Python 3 is a very latest version. It's added the security updates and a lot of batch updates. Also, how the Python syntax compared to other program language, how it looks like. Python was designed for readability and has some similarity to the English C# C language and influence from mathematics. Also, Python uses new lines to complete a command and oppose program languages. Also, Python relies on indentation. The main thing of Python is indentation. Other languages like C Sharp, JavaScript, and VB script doesn't have the option indentation, but the Python is the only language it relies on indentation. The main thing is indentation, and also the second thing is it's using for white spaces to define the scope, and as well as such as scope of loops, function, and classes. Other programming languages often use curly brackets for the purpose. Now I am moving to it. So when we start to Python, how to install? This is the basic one. How the installation will be happen. Suppose many PCs and Macs will have Python already installed. Python has been already installed for Mac systems. To check if you have Python installed on Windows PC, you can check this command: SQL users, your name, and Python. Following command learn in cmd.exe. If you check that, you will get Python version. Also, if you want to check if you have Python installed on a Linux or Mac, you can directly check the command line in terminal Python version like looks like here, right in here. Also, you can download Python from https www.python.org. This is your first step. Whenever if you want to learn any programming languages, the first step you need to do is download and install using command line area. Also, when we do the quick start, Python is an interpreted programming language. This means that as a developer you can write python.py files in a text editor and then put those files into the Python interpreter to be executed. For example, if you are a developer, you can write your own code in your text file, notepad file, and later on you can copy into the Python interpreter or Python command line and you can run and execute. But only thing you have to note about that indentation. Python completely relies on indentation. I get created separate videos for indentation. Also, I will continue how the indentation will work in next videos. The way to run a Python file is like this on command line. Here you can see. Here hello world1.py is my name of the Python file. Always Python have the file which is having .py as the end. VB script is .vbs, JavaScript is .js. The same way Python has py at the end with py extension. For example, suppose you are writing print Python, you can write a print the same as C language. You can do double quotes inside that. You are giving open bracket and closed bracket. Once you write it, you can save your file, open your command line and navigate to the directory and save your file and run on it. And the output you can see like that, hello world. So usually all programming languages, hello world is the first thing for all the programmers writing on it. Before moving to in big shot, I will give you some basics in command line, how the command line will work. But usually in real-time programming languages, instead of Python command line, we are using Visual Studio Code, PyCharm, or else Google Colab. That kind of tools are available. I will explain again. So what are all the tools we are using in real time? PyCharm, Visual Studio Code, Google Colab. If you want to write the Python function, you can use or Anaconda, Navigator, Jupyter, Notebook. So these are the famous and common tools when you are going to write your Python programs to run and executing as a interpretation way. So when you start with command line, you can trying with your simply py files how it looks like. Also you can execute syntax how it will looks like. The main thing I will talk to that indentation. So what would be the indentation? So indentation is refers to the spaces at the beginning of your code line. For example, here you can see, I will try it with this one. I'm using Python editor. Here you can see I'm running on it. You can see I'm running just F5, just run. You didn't see anything because this is indentation error. Most of the times you will get indentation error as well. Okay, this editor is something went wrong. I will come to you indentation practical session later. As of now, I will move into theoretical session. So indentation refers to the phases at the coding at the beginning of your code line. Suppose here you are seeing if 5 greater than 2, you are asking print 5 is greater than 2. Suppose the if, I'm copying this if, I'm copying if, I'm giving it also. If I give space here, the program will not run properly because this has indentation issue. So indentation refers for other example. Suppose if you give enter, I am giving printers here. This also giving, it will give error to me because these spaces are not coming as correct way. Indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of the code line. At the beginning of the code, you have to do correct spaces, and for each and every line of the beginning, you have to do correct spaces. Otherwise, Python will not run properly. Where in other programming languages, the indentation in code for readability only. The indentation Python is very 100% important. So the main thing in Python, indentation refers to the spaces at the beginning of the code. It expecting spaces at the beginning of the code line. The Python uses indentation to indicate a block of code. Every indentation has a block of code. Also, Python will give you an error if you skip the indentation. Suppose here you can see, if you skip for 5 greater than 2, here you can see below the 5 the print is available here. If and print is in same line, it will give you the indentation error. Let's try it. I'm running. The number of spaces is up to you as a programmer, but it has to be at least one. Here you can see if I greater than 2, the print is here. If I greater than 2, print is here. You will get the error because the indentation is wrong for both the lines. So here you have to use the same number of spaces in the same block of code, otherwise Python will give you an error. Same number of spaces in the same block of code. So I will create the separate video for indentation only because indentation is that much very important. Also, other thing you have to know about Python, how variables will be behave on it. So usually each and every programming languages variables are very important. So in Python as well, variables are created whenever you assign a value to it. Suppose you are assigning some values, that time you are creating some variables. So variables without use you have to remove on it, or you don't need to create on it. Here you can see x equal to 5, I'm assigning some value, y is equal to hello world, I'm assigning some variable value. I'm creating and I'm assigning on it. So Python has no command for declaring a variable. For other languages like C sharp or VB script, you are declare variable x equal to 0 will declare. So that kind of declaration is not needed. You can directly assign variable and you can create value for it. The another one important section is commands. Python has commanding capability for the purpose of in-code documentation. For the documentation, each and every programming language has a commands. So always, like other programming language, commands start with a hash and Python will render the rest of the line as command. So this is some of the basics, and next video I will create for indentation in the real time and continuing on in tutorial. Thank you guys, thanks for watching this.